We'll share screen. All right, Simi, I'm gonna admit people in so you can start whenever you can, because it is 6 o'clock now.
Greetings. Today is July 23rd, Sunday, 2023. Let us begin the day by greeting our Heavenly Parents and our true parents. Let us face our true parents. 천지 장부모님께 경배. 바로. Thank you. Let us recite the 가정мен세. 가정멘세 2. 천일의 극주인 우리 가정은 참사랑으로 충실하고 하늘의 부모님과 참부모님을 모시어 존주의 대표적 가족이 되며 중심적 가족이 되어 가족에서는 효자, 국가에서는 중심, 세계에서는 성인, 청주에서는 성자의 가족의 도리를 왕성할 것을 맹세하나이다. Number 2. Our family, the owner of Chunaguk, pledges to represent and become central to heaven and earth by attending the heavenly parent and true parents. We pledge to perfect the dutiful family way of filial sons and daughters in our family, patriots in our nation, saints in the world, and divine sons and daughters in heaven and earth by centering on true love. Sanida. This morning, may I ask Mr. Kiluba to offer a representative prayer to greet. Oh yes, Mr. Prosper Kiluba. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's pray. Let's bow to Heavenly Parent, true parent. Thank you, Heavenly Parent. Thank you, true parent, for this new day, this Sunday. Coming to you, Father, we pledge as a son and daughters gathering this morning to receive your love, your word, here as a family. Father, when we look back our life, we know how far from you. We know the investment you are done. Father, we know how we don't follow your path. But this time, you are taking care of us every single morning, giving us the education. Gathering this morning for us to be connected to you, to Heavenly Parent, true parent. Father, this morning, we are coming again, receiving your word through your son, daughters, and understanding the path and the course of true mother. We are coming together, Father, as a family, united with our leaders, our brothers and sisters, our families. Together, We need to keep this fire. We need to keep your word in our life and live this word in your life, in our life. Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to be connected to you. That's why we are coming to offer this precious moment when we are receiving your word. We need to take out all different difficulties that making the barrier between you and us. We need to open our heart to let you get in us. That's why this morning your son and daughters are gathering here. Let's be prepared and welcome you. We offer this prayer. It's our name, Prosper and Charlotte Kiluba, blessed family. Amen and adieu.
Amen. Adieu. Thank you for your beautiful prayer this morning, Mr. Prosper. And this morning, let us begin this beautiful Sunday with some light stretches. Hey. Inhale, reach for the sky. And as you exhale, bring your arms down. Ooh. All right, bring your arms forward. Inhale. And then exhale, open up your arms. And then as you're in that state, bring your arms to the side and go down. Awesome. And breathe in. And then breathe out and go to the side. Awesome. Come back to the center. Twist your body. All right. Bonus if you're able to crack your back. All right. Come back to the center. I want you guys to stretch your forearms. So bring your arms out and kind of, press down on your hand. And also flip your hands back and then press that way also. Awesome. Okay, switch. Now do your other arm. Awesome. Okay. Now this is you can do this maybe either by sitting too and standing, but you can bring your knees to your chest. Yeah, and then okay, maybe I have to stand. Bring your knees to your chest. And then the goal is to bring your knee to the chest, but you don't have to do it. Okay, it's like to stretch your leg and your back. This. Okay. And do that with the other side. Awesome. I have to do this standing, so maybe it's a little difficult if you're sitting, huh? Sorry. Okay. And now let's do 10 seconds, okay, of stretches that you need to do. Okay, I'm gonna count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Awesome. Okay, bring it back. All right. Come back to the center and that's it. Yes. Awesome. All right, guys. Okay, now let's go off into our breakout rooms and share what we're grateful for today. Thank you. See you in a few. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful sharing. So, and ours are in the midst of talking about really cute bunnies, and in her backyard kind of thing. Yes. So let us welcome Mrs. Caroline Hansen for her gratitude this morning.
Okay, good morning, brothers and sisters. I'm grateful to be here. I was saying to Sunmi, I'm grateful for our true parents to start this wonderful tradition, and that I have been exposed to it, or I have the privilege to join in with it. And then Reverend Young to bring it back, or not bring it back, but to encourage us even more. And I was saying to Sunmi, now I kind of feel in a survival mood. You know, sometimes I just join in and I'm kind of surviving, and I'm so grateful that brothers and sisters are continuing it and I can just jump in. Sometimes you do more than just survival, you do more than just being there. But at the moment, I feel I'm just being here, and I'm grateful for that. And Sunmi was talking about her cat, and that was kind of cute because she said there's something there always that requests my service so I can give. I thought that was kind of interesting to say that you can, you know, you have your pets and then you always want to give, and sometimes you don't know where to give or how to give. And I thought that was kind of cute. And then talking about bunnies, in my backyard, we have these tiny little bunnies. I mean, they're tiny little poofs, and you see them hop around and eating grass. So we find a lot of joy watching the wildlife in our backyard. And I'm grateful to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for being here and for continuing this. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mrs. Hansen. That was a wonderful sharing. I'm so glad you're willing to share this morning. Thank you so much. And with that, and also throughout the session today, everyone, you can feel free to continue to write what you're grateful for in the chat box as well. Yeah, and I can always read those off here and there. Awesome. So now let us open up our hearts and our minds to receive our mother's words from her memoir, Mother of Peace. Thank you.
Welcome to Mother of Peace, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. A memoir by Hak Jahan Moon, a production of the Washington Times Global Media Group, narrated by Alison Hiroto. The original beauty of Mother Nature. Our motorboat, which was basically a rowboat with an engine, noisily chugged its way across the deep, blue Paraguay River. Halfway across, one passenger suddenly stood up, and the boat rocked wildly from side to side. The other passengers cried out, fearing the boat would capsize. Just as everyone settled back down, someone yelled, "Ay, what's that?" Before our eyes, a bizarre-looking fish jumped high out of the water and landed on the deck. There, it flopped around in the hot sun, jerking its salmon-sized body and gnashing its dozens of razor-sharp teeth. The frightened passengers moved away from it, protecting their legs, as the boatman calmly picked it up with a long stick and tossed it back in the river. "It looked scary. What is it called?" someone asked. "It's a dorado," he said. "It's Spanish for golden." The dorado is one of countless species of fish, particular to the waters of Mato Grosso do Sul, one of the Midwestern states of Brazil. The Paraguay River, which forms the border between that part of Brazil and Paraguay, is abundant not only in such fish, but in every kind of living organism. In the regions of South America that are near the equator, the weather is either a warm springtime or hot summer. Flowers are constantly in bloom, and fruit is abundant for the picking. It is a pleasant land for human habitation in harmonious coexistence with the animal and plant life. If paradise on earth is defined by having many different creatures living together in a lush green garden, Mato Grosso do Sul belongs in that paradise. Its vast territory is covered by virgin forest and wetlands. It is ideal for cultivating a farm or caring for an orchard. Enormous trees provide shelter and sustenance for many kinds of birds, insects, and animals. The rivers are clean, and some of them are quite clear. There are more than 20 waterfalls, including the famous Iguazu Falls, that thunders where Brazil meets Argentina. Even though it was South America's hottest season, in December of 1994, we brought our senior missionaries from around the world to experience a fishing workshop on the Paraguay River. As the sun blazed on those days, local people would wade into the river and lie in the water to cool off, watching us curiously while we fished. As beautiful as the Pantanal was, one had to be careful at all times. We would take a boat up the river, dock it, and explore the countryside. Sometimes we could barely get through tangles of vines hanging down from enormous trees, and we would have to crawl on our bellies. We often would not return to the boat until midnight. We would rely on a steel cable stretched out through the forest to guide us back in the dark. When we rose before dawn every day to continue, we again would deal with sweltering heat and swarms of mosquitoes. It was a strenuous routine. My most difficult task was bathing. I would awkwardly put up a screen for privacy in the narrow boat so I could wash myself with the murky river water. But in my heart, I welcomed such primitive and natural conditions. Near the Mato Grosso do Sul town of Jardim, we built a headquarters for global education, called the Headquarters for the Education of Ideal Families for World Peace, and set up the New Hope Farm to establish a foundation to build God's nation. The local townsfolk told us that an old prophecy predicted that Jardim was where the Lord would come. The first time Father Moon and I went to Jardim was in late 1994. When we held our first leaders' workshop there, the training center was a run-down storehouse without even bathrooms or a kitchen. I cannot begin to describe how uncomfortable it was, but it was perfect for the experimental education we wanted to provide our leaders. It was a workshop of heart during which participants breathed the warm air and sweated without reserve as they read God's Word in the early morning and fished in the midst of the unpolluted and pure original creation. Over the years, we developed that Jardim site into a lovely family retreat center. We invested in the New Hope Farm that surrounded it. Unificationists, missionaries, and members from around the world moved there, with the vision of restoring the Garden of Eden that God created at the beginning. We built our community in Jardim with a school so that all these families from all over the world would be able to experience God's love while living in beautiful nature. We donated ambulances to the town, farmed and raised cattle, and improved the livelihoods of local people. In the late 1990s, thousands of our members from around the world spent 40 days in study, prayer, and recreation in the natural beauty of New Hope Farm outside of Jardim. The Pantanal, which Jardim borders, is the world's largest freshwater wetland area. Lying on both sides of the Paraguay River, it is a paradise on earth. Everything God created in the area has the appearance of the original creation. I am deeply impressed with the thought that this is what the Garden of Eden must have looked like, with the fish and all these animals and plants living exactly as they always have. There are capybaras, crocodiles, wild pigs, and birds, such as rheas, all living freely in the wild. In the river, you find surubi and paku, and of course the piranhas that are dangerous even for humans. Many species considered endangered live here, including jaguars, pumas, deer, wolves, otters, armadillos, and anteaters. There are also unique trees and cacti. It is the largest wetland in the world, and as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it is protected. Thus, it is a unique area in which to create an ideal village. An extraordinary natural environment such as this has its dangers, but at the same time, it could be a key region for solving food shortages in the future. We started farming and created a fish farm with a view to improving the local people's livelihoods. One of our ideas was to create a fish meal that could be supplied to boost people's nutrition in poorer areas. We made plans to raise cattle on our ranch and supply beef to as many as 160 countries. To protect the natural landscape, we planted a great number of trees in the land alongside the Paraguay River. The second area in which we invested is called the Chaco. This remote area is part of the Gran Chaco region that covers parts of Bolivia, Paraguay, and Argentina. In 1999, we encouraged our members to develop a settlement there called the Puerto Leda Project. If you cross the Paraguay River at Puerto Leda, moving from Paraguay to Brazil, you're only a couple of hours by four-wheel drive from Jardim. Puerto Leda was the most difficult place to live in the Chaco, yet our Japanese brothers rolled up their sleeves and worked their hardest. In only a few years, they transformed the area into an ideal village where people and nature live in harmony, a place where anyone would enjoy living. They even built a swimming pool. It is a model ecological settlement, including water purification and fish farming, which was recognized by Paraguay's president, who personally visited the site. We prioritized these projects over building churches, but as the number of people who responded to our members' tireless devotion grew, our faith community also grew. I wept many times over the pain of the people who lead arduous lives under those spacious skies in Latin America. My heart was torn for the children who craved to learn to write but could not. In the 1970s, when our missionaries from that area expressed how difficult it was to bring God's truth to people who struggled day to day to survive, all I could do was listen and silently pat their shoulders. We would pray together. We will return here on another day and build a land of happiness. Heavenly Father, please don't forget these people. In the 1990s, God opened the door, and we began to fulfill those prayers. When we arrived there, Puerto Leda lacked every basic facility. The nearby village needed a school as well as a hospital, and they urgently needed to secure an economic foundation to overcome hunger. Our members all over the world, especially Japan, responded to our call and donated in support of the Leda Project. Nothing can change in a day, yet our members were comforted by the hope they saw in the eyes of the children and by seeing changes emerge in the hearts of the youth. The new generation of Puerto Leda began to think, we too can have a good life. We keep in mind the need to stop the steady destruction of the ecosystem. We know that, in the name of economic development, we are losing the Amazon rainforest. Overfishing and the rapacious killing of valuable animals for monetary profit also are a serious problem. At the same time, more than 800 million people around the world regularly go hungry. Some South American countries have abundant stocks of beef and wheat, yet they cannot prevent malnutrition. In the midst of our education and community building in Latin America, we conduct plant and animal research on how to best utilize the local resources while protecting nature. The wings of monarch butterflies span just a few inches, but they migrate 3,000 miles between Canada and Mexico every winter. No one taught them to do this. It is encoded in their nature. Human beings and nature have an inseparable relationship. We can be enlightened about God's act of creation and His mystical truth through nature, which represents Him, only when we live in it, invest in it, and study it. We can feel the infinite joy and love that God felt when He created the earth for us. When we do so, we can live each day with a heart of love and gratitude. The land in which we can learn this truth is Latin America. Through family-oriented love, as one family under God, we can discover our original homeland in this land, God's gift of nature.
Thank you for listening to Godable. Visit motherofpeacebook.com to purchase the complete audiobook. Godable is made possible by listeners like you. To donate, visit godable.org. Thank you.
Thank you, True Mother. 감사합니다. And with that, brothers and sisters, let us open up our hearts and minds once more. Let us welcome Dr. Thomas Ward for today's reflection. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunmi, and greetings to all brothers and sisters on this morning. Yeah, there's so much in Mother's message this morning. And as we reviewed it again today, I particularly thought about Mother's comments that 800 million people in the world are dying of hunger. This is something that was very much on True Parent's mind. And True Father was always saying every single day, 20,000 people die of hunger. And both Father and Mother felt that one of the most important reasons for traveling to South America was to find a way to try to address this really unnecessary problem in a world where there is abundance, and the only thing that blocks people from being able to eat as they should is actually human greed. So True Parents felt very strongly about that, and Father developed so many different plans and projects, and Mother still carries all of that inside of her and harbors it as something that needs to be done. When we read this passage, we discover True Parents' great love for Latin America and their heart towards Latin America, and also their heart and love towards the people of Latin America. There are so many things and ways in which, as True Mother says at the close of this passage, that somehow Latin America was prepared to be able to be really a reminder of the original world. And you know, if we look, for example, at the European conquest of both Mexico and then later the conquest of the Incas, in both places, the Spanish used exactly the same strategy. And the strategy was a very simple one. They realized that all they needed to do was to capture the king. In the case of Montezuma, in the case of Mexico, it was Montezuma. In the case of the Incas, it was Atahualpa. And they knew that once they captured the king, that everybody would follow them because somehow the king was under their control. And this reflects, I believe, the way in which God prepared Latin America as a place with a heart of attendance. Somehow, particularly for many, many centuries, God prepared that part of the world with a heart of attendance. And my visits to Latin America, they just reminded me over and over again about, at least for myself, the sharp contrast between the United States and Latin America, because sometimes you can travel around the United States. I speak particularly maybe of myself in this case, but you can look at the beauty of the Niagara Falls, or you can look at the beauty of the Grand Canyon, or the redwood forest, and you can say to somebody, look at all these beautiful things that we have in America, and you can point to them. But when I visited Latin America, what I discovered over and over again, particularly in terms of their attitude towards the true parents, there are so many beautiful things in Latin America, things like the Iguazu Falls or the Andes Mountains, or those of you who've had a chance to go snorkeling in Latin America, you go into the water and all these beautiful colored fish that are there, just remarkable things, But the difference I always felt between Latin America and the United States was, you go there and people would say there, look at all these beautiful things, true parents, they belong to you. They don't belong to us, they belong to you. For a long period of time, there was that kind of attendant heart there. There was a mountain in Bolivia called Potosi. It was 6,000 meters high. And that particular mountain was filled with silver. And for a long period of time, the Incas and the other tribes that were located in that area, they had a tradition, and the tradition was, don't touch the silver in that mountain. It's for a different people. It's not for us. We have to protect that. And unfortunately, when the Europeans came, they just took that silver for a self-centered purpose. Unfortunately, that's what happened. But the reality is that somehow there was this beautiful attendant heart. And that heart could finally be really recognized and revived because of true parents and true mother. You can see her incredible ability to discover the beauty and the precious hearts of our Latin American brothers and sisters. And true parents were very, very comfortable there. And all of us who had a chance to be able to travel to South America during that time, we could really have an opportunity, I think, to see a part of true parents that we never saw in America. Because as Mother explains here, really, Father and Mother, they really went back to the very roots of the most simple things, and fishing day after day, and somehow as we see, trying to return back to where they were located at night through a wire, guiding them to get back, was really a very, very tough lifestyle. But that's where true parents went back to after all the success of Moscow and everything. They went back to a very, very simple life because they felt what God's next calling for them was going to be. As I reflected on today's reading, however, there was one chapter, one sentence that particularly really struck me. It was one of the last sentences that was read today. It was this one. It says, talking about the Latin American young people, nothing can change in a day. Yet our members were comforted by the hope they saw in the eyes and by seeing changes in the hearts of the youth. The new generation began to think, we too can have a good life. We too can have a good life. And that really is, I think, the essence of witnessing. The essence of witnessing. Somehow when people have the opportunity to hear the divine principle, when they have the opportunity to read the true mother's life, when they have the opportunity to understand really that it's possible to have a good life. What is a good life? Really, a good life ultimately is a return to the original ideal. So Latin America symbolically represented a return to the original ideal. And the experience of being witnessed to is the way internally to be able to return to the original ideal, for human beings to discover their original dignity and value. So true parents, through their work in Latin America and through the work of our Japanese brothers and sisters in the case of Leda, through that process, it was possible for the people that they were reaching out to feel we too can have a good life. And that's really the key, I think, the underlying message of witnessing. We want to help people to understand whom we reach out to, our spiritual sons and daughters, to recognize that they too can have a good life, a life which is free of Satan's bondage, a life in which we truly become God's children through the efforts of our true parents and through the words of our true mother today. So those are my thoughts for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ward. And it's awesome. I think we really appreciated that some of the, even the words by true parents and the experiences they had could be backed up by the sense of conviction of you having also seen them in such environments or situations. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And with that, brothers and sisters, let us go off into our breakout rooms so we can share with one another what stood out to us as well. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful sharing. For today's representative sharing, I would like to, before that, just a heads up, feel free to comment or share what was shared in your group in the chat box as well, what you shared, what another person shared, okay? Awesome, okay. Now with that, help me welcome Mr. Clofa Deshotel for his representative sharing. Thank you.
Good morning. If we think about our collective experience when we study divine principle and of course study unification thought, we have yin and yang, yin and yang, yin and yang. Those are concepts that we can look at and study and apply in our day-to-day life. But in our collective life here online, we now have yin, yang, and yang, Dr. Yang. He's given us his experience with doing all this online in the breakout rooms, sort of like what we used to do in the old days, meeting each other after many, many miles on the road, time passed, we meet at the lobby of the New Yorker Hotel. So there's a couple of things like rapacious, this jumped out at me, overfishing and the rapacious killing of valuable animals for monetary profit also are a serious problem. So with the limited amount of time, I just want to say that those keywords, Dr. Yang often said, okay, what's the keyword? What's your takeaway? There's a difference between hunger, famine, and malnutrition. So as we look at these things carefully, we can see there's a lot of solutions to malnutrition. It's very difficult with hunger and famine because of human misuse of our intellect. Selfishness, too much selfishness. I know that I have 6 grandchildren, another 7th one coming, and I know that they have to be selfish up to a certain point. But up to a certain point, that's okay. It's cute. There's the cuteness factor. You can find a cuteness factor in unification thought, but theory of art. But at some point, they need to, as they safely reach adulthood, as they progress over time to reach adulthood, selfishness is no longer, it's unhelpful. It's nutritious. It's not helpful for your soul, for your spirit. So thank you. I'll cut it off there. Whoopee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deshotel. Thank you for those highlighting those points. And with that, brothers and sisters, allow me to go into announcements. So first, yes, be encouraged to invite someone to the Zoom meeting, whether it be live or the YouTube link. Second, today we had episode 59 on Audible. So if you'd like to share that with someone, you could check out Mother of Peace, episode 59. And you can always find the YouTube link also under the Clifton Family Church YouTube channel. And next, regarding live testimonies and offering song, if you know someone or you personally would like to share during the next Anshio, please reach out to Yasu or Pastor Takino. The email and contact information is in the chat box. And finally, this is a really important memo. So we received a memo from International Headquarters today or yesterday. And so for 40 days, starting today, July 23rd, okay, so it's commencing today already, until August 31st, leading up to Father Seonghwa, 11th anniversary of Seonghwa, there is a memo for 40 days of like witnessing or devotional activities. So you can ask your pastors for more information. Yes, they will have the official memo. So that is something you can ask about, inquire during service today, or they might even talk about it during service today. So awesome. And there is a file shared in the meeting as well that you can take a look at. Thank you, Yasu. And with that, I would like to call on Pastor Takino for Chonshiwon prayer. Thank you.
Good morning. Today from New Jersey, Cheon, I'd like to invite our second gen Ilam to for the representative prayer.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for this beautiful Sunday morning. Today in Shim's autobiography, we learned how Chu parents were able to influence Latin America to become the land of true love and how it impacted the people there. I think one of the things that really impacted me was when at the end, very end, when it said that people they believe that they can also have a good life as well. And that touched my heart because I know that many people around the world still today are suffering and experiencing so much hardship. And for them to be able to not only to be touched internally, but also externally with food from fishing and also education and also getting proper health and all the help they need. I feel that they are really been touched by God, and that love that they were able to feel can spread all from not only from where they were in Jardine, it could also spread all throughout Latin America. So yeah, I hope that from this we can all learn to also always be mindful to anyone who's struggling, also give a helping hand and heart, and that not even though in Latin America it seems so big and such a big project, we ourselves individuals can impact people in our local communities, whether it's just giving food to the homeless and just anyone you see on the street, just be able to impact them through witnessing and just be able to touch their hearts internally, or whether it's also external help as well. Because with that love, they can also spread to others, and that can all be able to bring people back to God. So today, as we go home, I hope we, or if we're going to Sunday service, hope that we can be true people full of love. And yeah, I report this prayer in my name, and Tom, blessed your family, Archer. Thank you. And now let us, brothers and sisters, let us unmute ourselves and offer unison prayer. Jack.
Heavenly Parents and true parents this morning. It's another day that we are able to come before
and to hear about our
and
parents,
offer
true
our
parents,
lives
in South America. Really, true parents are the parents of all
to your will, Holy
I went to the
Spirit,
doctor
who
yesterday
understand
to
about
start
I
my life. But true
I
parents are
feel
always going to be
concerned about the impact
in your life and
of
life.
time when it's nearly
We
impossible.
be the parents
We are determined to make sure that
in the dark.
the great victory of true mother around the world
The lives that they live.
how heavy you will have
You will
even remove all evil expectations. May your heavenly fire burn in this world, slowly as it burns in the world where exploitation, suffering, and destroy evil. May your heavenly love
unwavering in our
permeate
commitment
the
to you. We
regions.
are living with integrity, God, with centered on your words, centered on parents, God, the least Heavenly Parent, unification, church members around the world yearns to live our hearts, our minds, our
Darling, heal our bodies so that we can
most importantly, our true mother, in the way for such things, true mother, Father, the living God is living in such a way, Father, that is inspiring us, that is a constant reminder to us to live in attendance to you, Heavenly There's always a way to repent. Always a way to offer gratitude. And there's always to offer solid determinations to go forward, Heavenly Parent, to get us out of our despair and gets us out of our hopeless and helplessness, God, and out of suffering, foolishness, and
This is what we want to do. We want to be the one. With all of our
to listen to us, Father, for we
bring you joy,
is what the living Holy Spirit is, God. We will continue to realize as vacation is to visit that you wish
in our
the parent,
lives.
which is a unique to the Holy Spirit, God. Let the Holy Spirit
Culture.
and enter all of our bodies and our
Let us
spirits, God.
understand what it means to
Speak to us,
forgive.
God, so
Forgive of
we can
ourselves.
continue to carry out your
When
will,
we're not
Heavenly
able to
Parent,
see.
at the level that our true mother is doing.
Prayer.
And Christianity is coming, returning
Teach us to be
God,
loved.
there's so much that we can inherit and embody from Christianity, the essence of Christianity, the essence that our parents were raised in, Heavenly Parent.
Doesn't want to hear
Jesus is spiritual life. Jesus is spiritual life. Through your words, Jesus is spiritual life.
educating our to Latino what we accomplish believes and others who know and understand
은혜로 쏟은 돈이 이 모든 바쳐서 동길이여라 이겨낸 소리를 동길 이나나 자는데 동길이 없어 동길이 없어 부모님, 장부모님, 감사합니다. 아주. Hey, brothers and sisters, that concludes our Cheon Vigil Day 59. Thank you so much for joining today. Happy Sunday, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.